Hello, everybody, and welcome to Libromancy, a podcast about the magic of books. I'm Josh, and today I'm talking about The Twisted Ones by Kingfisher. So let's twist to the magic of books. So I've got to say it. Wow, what a book. This was so fun. I am not a huge horror fan. As you guys know, if you listen to what I talk about, it's 99% fantasy, throw in a little bit of romance. I love the romantasy. You're going to get like 0.1% horror, but you know, I might read some more of Kingfisher's horror because I do enjoy hers a lot. Now, like I said, horror, not my thing. I don't like to go to scary things around Halloween. I don't like going through haunted houses. It's just not my style. This book, it laid it on just enough to keep me seriously considering whether I wanted to keep reading or stop reading. Yet at the same time, making me want to just keep reading because I need to know what happens and I can't know what happens until I finish the book and where it might go and what's going to happen. Now there's, like I said, it was very good. There are a couple things that I felt like I needed to, maybe I'll talk about that we need to change in this book or maybe just fix for me personally, like not a knock against this book. Because I think for what this book was setting out to do, I think it did really well. I thought characters were really well done. I love the character of Mouse. That's our main character, Mouse and Bongo. They were so great. And I loved, now this is not really a spoiler, so I'm not going to worry about it, but this is a found footage book where we are reading something that the character Mouse has left for us. Now, I love this because I love the main character's job where she's an editor and she's going through and talking about certain things as an editor would talk about them, and it was quite funny and very well done. The found footage here, it fits. I love that we get some different stylings and text fonts in certain times. Makes things work. This was a good book. The writing was great, like I said. I thought the plot was really good. It was very confusing, which is what you want in a horror film. In a horror film, but like in a horror story is not what I like, but in my ideal horror of what a perfect horror would be is it's very like in this instance, confusing is a good thing for it, right? Because you don't know what's going on. You don't know why things are happening. You don't know what's going to happen next. Those lead to some good elements of horror for me versus, the shock and awe of a thriller shocker. It's just, I guess more of what I don't like is I don't like the shockers or the slashers, right? Like I said earlier, I wanted to put this book down, and when I did put it down because I had to do something, I did have a hard time picking it back up because I didn't want to get into that horror feeling and that, that feeling you get in your in your stomach and in your chest where you're just like, oh, I'm a little hoary. Now, some of you might read this book and be like, this is not horror. This is like chill horror. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for, is the chill horror. So if you guys like it more intense, then I'm glad you like it more intense. But I liked it just at this intensity. A lot of good scenes. I liked the resolution. This is one of my only like real big critiques of this story is that I kind of wish, well, we didn't get as much. It's two things, and they're contradictory to each other. I wish we had gotten a little bit more about certain characters, and I'll talk about that. And I also was glad that I wish we'd gotten maybe a little less, which we didn't really actually learn anything. So I'm not like sure why I feel that I knew too much at the end. That's kind of what it is. But so let's talk about the spoiler section here because I'm getting too into it and there's so much to talk about that I need to just say kind of what I'm feeling about things. So great book. The story is Mouse is tasked to clean her grandmother's house. Everybody hated her grandmother. Her grandmother hated everybody. Didn't have a nice bone in her body. While she's cleaning, she finds a journal by Cottsgrave, who was her grandmother's stepfather, or it's not stepfather, her grandfather's husband, second husband. He lived with her, we learned, because she kept the things away. We don't know what the things are. Crazy things start happening. She sees a weird effigy and weird creatures made of bones and sticks moving around. She finds herself on a hill with these weird stones while reading through his journal and then his manuscript that he has retyped based on a book that he read that he used to have that the grandmother hid / destroyed because she was just such an evil person. That's so funny. Everybody who meets him, everybody she talks to is like, oh yeah, I live over here. And she's like, oh yeah, that person, she was great. She's like, no, I know that she was a horrible person. And everyone's like, oh, thank goodness, yes. She was a horrible person. Everybody hated her. But it was just funny the way it is. So then she ends up traveling through this other world thinking that somebody needs her help. Turns out that these are changelings that have come in. not changelings, but a changeling comes and gets her, wants her help to escape, the changeling wants to use Mouse as a replacement for her so she can be free. Doesn't work because Cotsgrave is her step grandfather, and so there's no actual blood relation, so she's not a changeling. But let's get into some of the horror parts that were really done well. Well, let me finish what I was saying first. They are able to escape, they get away, they burn the house down to destroy 2 of the effigies or creatures that kind of got through with them, and then Mouse leaves and goes off does her own thing on her own. A little bit crazy afterwards, but that's understandable after the experience she's gone through. So, some of the horror things, I mean, if you've read the book, it's the click, 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 here and the click, 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 or the tap, 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 where she thinks it's this woodpecker that's going on through the night, and just like, oh, I hear this woodpecker that's twisting and clicking, and then she realizes, no, it's not the woodpecker, it's this creature, this bone and sticks and things creature that has these rocks hanging from its rib cage on strings, and they click together, or they click and tap on things. And then she's like, that's been following me and watching me and trying to get in the house. And the scene where she wakes up at night and it's staring in the window at her, and she's like, I can't move. It is absolutely critical that this thing does not know that I'm awake right now, that Bongo is just doing what he's going to do. I'm not going to touch him or stop him from barking at it. She's like, it's the same as when you're asleep in bed. If your foot has to stay under the covers, so you're safe. If you stay under the covers, you're okay. And that was so creepy. And then when they're in the house and they're cleaning up at night, and Foxy comes over and they're staying in there, and it comes and it knocks on the windows, then it circles around to the other window and it knocks on that window. And it's just like, oh, that was so scary. And like, just the atmosphere and the feeling I got while reading it, and even just while talking about it, I get little chills, and I'm just like, that was a creepy experience. She wrote it so well in this found footage. And then the other thing, I wrote it down so I could say it actually perfectly right. It says, I made faces like the faces on the rocks, and I twisted myself about like the twisted ones, and I lay down flat on the ground like the dead ones. Just the over and over again, I twisted myself about like the twisted ones. I twisted myself about like the twisted ones. And I'm like, oh, that's because she gets it stuck in her head, and then you get it stuck in your head a little bit, and it just makes you, it's just creepy. And you're just like, whoa, it's intense when you're reading this one. And I loved it that, it came to me after the fact that Cotsgrave, he was part changeling. When he made the faces on the rocks and he twisted himself about like the twisted ones, it actually helped him a little more, because he was feeling the call as a part changeling, the call to go back to this world that he didn't want to go to. Or, I mean, we don't know why he didn't want to go or anything, or if he knew anything really about it, but it's just creepy. And then learning that Cotsgrave was the effigy that had been around the house and knocking on the house, and that's why it kept knocking, because you don't break the windows of your own house to get in the house. And learning that the Cotsgrave effigy, puppet had created another puppet out of like the typewriter. When Mouse earlier mentions, this was great foreshadowing that I didn't even catch, but like Mouse is like, where is the typewriter that he used to type this, and where are these other things that have gone missing in the house? And he's just like, you don't know. And then it's like, oh, the Cotsgrave one made another poppet, and that poppet's, in the house, not to kill them, because it's just a poppet. And it's just creepy. You don't know how they animate these things or what animates them. And, oh, so scary. Like, not scary, because I was never scared like a slasher book would make me scared, right? But it's just like that freaked out eldritch thing. Now, again, one of my small criticisms with this book is, Mouse, you are getting freaked out left and right. You've seen this thing, and I know it's big, but like, you need to get a bat or something. Get yourself a weapon here. So when worst comes to worst, you can swing and, go out swinging at the very least if you have to go out, right? But like not a lot of these problems, like the end book, could have been helped out a little bit if you'd had a metal bat, right? Just something to smash these poppets with and break their bones. We do see that once they get shot, they go down and they stay down. They don't just auto repair. So that, that's something, right? You've got that going for you. Now let's talk about just the Anna plot, where she's feeling this. Bongo comes back with a note that says help, and the Kilroy was here symbol on it. She thinks Cotsgrave somehow is maybe alive, and he's trapped in the fairy realm or the changeling world. He's not. It's Anna, who's just a changeling, and she's been stuck there for a while, and she's the one who wants help. And I knew literally like seconds before I read that she was the one who asked for help, because of the way she announced to the poppets that she was going to read them that. I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going on. She's the one who actually needs help. Very confused, very tricky what's going on there. And they go to this other world, and nobody knows. No, that girl Anna doesn't know anything that's going on because she's like, I've been here for a while, but I don't know anything. They just do what they do. This guy's been here Uriah, he's been here even longer, but he's more out of it than I am, and he can't do anything about it. And we see these murals, and we learn that there was a race. They created the puppets, and then eventually the old ones, or the real people, the changeling people, had kind of died, and the puppets kept making more puppets, and that's why they keep getting more and more distorted and weird, but they just keep making them. And so there's no stop to them. So just crazy. Now, talk about some really funny things here. The horny stone was really funny, where you're looking at the stones like, oh, those two monsters are going at it. And then, the more you look at it and the more you feel it, it starts to work on you. And she's like, whoa, I got to get out of this. And I liked the hickory, where theoretically hickory is not in the changeling world. And so touching hickory kind of keeps you central to our world and helps prevent these things from affecting you as strongly. I love that. The dog humor on point at the beginning of this book and throughout the book about how dumb her dog is and how he'll follow a scent forever, but, watch a serial killer stop her. But, that UPS the UPS delivery man ever walks, foot towards the house, I'll know about it and let him go, let him have it. And so, like I said earlier, the main things that I wish I knew more about the changeling people and like what's going on there and how they died. But I'm like, but then it becomes more sci-fi than horror, like how to stop them. And I mainly want to know, like, why did they avoid the grandma? Like, why was she so, like, bad for them? That not bad, but like annoying to them that they wouldn't even, that Cottsgrave could live there with her and be safe, quote unquote. But again, I feel like explaining too much of it turns it from, more horror to, fantasy or science fiction and kind of what's going on there. So I'm glad it was the way it was. I really wouldn't change anything. These are just my feelings. Again, just that sentence that repeats over again. I twisted myself about like the twisted ones. Ugh, just scary. And then she's like, our whole lives depended on the linoleum that the monster slipped on. I'm so glad it was there, but I left, and I always carry hickory, and I always have my phone on me. And now, and it makes sense that her phone has a bug, so that way she can take out the instant communication. I liked that. I thought it was at least semi-reasonable to be like, yes, your phone did get a bug, and it does drain your battery really fast. That's why you don't use it, but you're still able to go email and stuff at the coffee shop. And there were lots of things like that I liked. So I thought it was really good. Really no critiques on my end about these kind of things. I loved that it was a found story and that it had another kind of secret found story in it with Cottsgrave's manuscript that he found. But as a horror, this really not got to me because I didn't have nightmares or anything, but it got me to feel that chill, those shivers, the shakes. Very well done. So that is going to be everything I have to say about The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Thanks everybody for listening, and thanks to David Hillowitz for the intro and outro music. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please send those to libromancypod@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And remember to twist to the magic of books.